My name is Claire, and the night everything changed started in my brother's big white house on the hill. He lives just outside Denver in the United States, in one of those neat suburbs where every lawn looks like it has been measured with a ruler. The house is modern, full of glass and pale wood, the kind of place that smells like new furniture and expensive candles. I own a small bakery in the older part of the city, in a street where the bricks are worn and the windows rattle when trucks pass. That evening, I arrived straight from work. My hair smelled faintly of coffee and sugar. There was still a dusting of flour on my black jeans that I had tried to brush away in the car, but failed to remove. Inside the house, everything was perfect. My brother Adam stood at the kitchen island, pouring wine into tall glasses, while his wife Lily moved dishes around like a hostess in a magazine. My parents sat at the dining table, talking quietly, their voices soft under the clink of cutlery. Dinner started smoothly enough. We talked about the weather, about traffic, about a new shopping mall in town. Adam bragged about a client who had paid him a bonus of $2,000. Lily showed my mother her new bracelet and said something about it being only for $100, as if that amount of money was nothing at all. I listened and smiled, and tried not to think about how I had argued with a supplier that morning to save $30 on a flour order. We sat down to eat. The table was covered with food: roast beef, creamy potatoes, a bright green salad, a big dish of baked carrots with honey. There were candles on the table and a bottle of red wine that probably cost more than my monthly electricity bill at the bakery. I took a sip of my drink and felt my shoulders relax just a little. For a moment, it almost felt like a normal family dinner. Then Lily looked across the table at me. Her smile was thin, sharp at the edges. "So, Claire," she said, in a loud, bright voice, "what's it like to be the owner of a small, dirty bakery?" Adam chuckled, not really looking at me. "Yeah," he added. "How is life in your little flour cave?" The words hit me harder than I expected. I thought about my bakery on Oak Street, with its cracked tiles and secondhand chairs. I thought about the old oven I had paid $3,500 for when I could barely afford $500. I thought about the days I stood behind the counter counting every $5 note like it was a treasure. They saw small and dirty. I saw hard work and survival. I also thought about the money I had given them, the little loans that were never repaid, the $800 I sent when they were behind on their car payment, the $1,200 when their bathroom flooded and the insurance refused to cover it, the many $200 and $300 transfers, just until next month. "Claire, we promise." When I added it up in my head, it was more than $10,000. Money I had pulled out of my own rent, my own savings, my own sleep. I set down my glass very carefully, so it did not shake in my hand. I looked straight at my brother and his wife. "What's it like to be the owner of a small, dirty bakery?" Lily had asked. "It's hard," I said calmly but honest. Then I let the real words come. "How does it feel knowing I won't pay your bills anymore?" The room went quiet so fast it felt like someone had turned off a switch. My mother's fork stopped in midair. My father cleared his throat and stared at his plate. Adam's smile froze on his face. Lily blinked, as if she had not heard me right. "Come on, Claire," Adam said at last, with a weak laugh. "Don't be ridiculous. We're just joking." "I'm not joking," I replied. "Not anymore." For a moment, no one knew what to do. Then my father forced a small laugh. My mother changed the subject, asking about my latest cupcake flavor. The tension thinned, but did not leave. Everyone started smiling again, but the smiles were stiff and wrong. I ate the rest of my meal in small, slow bites, while my heart beat hard in my chest. When I drove back to my tiny rented apartment above the bakery that night, the city lights of Denver looked different. Sharper somehow. I knew I had crossed a line I could not uncross. I had finally said the thing I had been afraid to say for years. I would not be their safety net anymore. 10 hours later, just after dawn, my phone rang. I answered it with sleepy eyes and a hoarse voice, expecting a simple question or a casual chat. Instead, I heard my mother whisper, "Claire, you need to come. Now." And when I walked back into that perfect house on the hill, the home froze in silence. But that was only the beginning. When my mother called that morning, her voice did not sound like the voice from last night's dinner. It was thinner, tighter, as if someone was holding her throat. I sat up in bed, my small room above the bakery still half dark. My alarm had not even gone off yet. "Claire," she whispered, "you need to come to Adam's house. Now." My first thought was that something terrible had happened. An accident. A fire. Someone in the hospital. My chest squeezed. "What happened? Is everyone okay?" I asked. "They were fine," she said, but her words shook. "Just come, please." I pulled on yesterday's jeans and a clean t-shirt. I grabbed my keys from the small table by the door and ran down the narrow stairs to the bakery. For a moment I stood there, in the quiet street, looking at my shop's dark windows. I should have been inside, turning on the lights, starting the ovens, getting ready for the first customers. Every hour I was away meant money lost. But my mother's voice was echoing in my head. The roads were almost empty as I drove back to the suburb where my brother lived. The tidy lawns were still wet with morning sprinklers. The houses looked calm and perfect in the early light. Nothing about them showed panic. But when I opened the front door and stepped inside, I felt it. No one yelled. No one cried. They were all in the living room. My parents on the couch, Adam standing near the window, Lily at the edge of the coffee table, still in her silk robe. The air felt thick, like the silence had weight. On the table lay a stack of papers. Some white, some yellow, some with red letters at the top. I saw numbers, dates, amounts, words like final notice, overdue, and account in arrears. My father looked older than he had the night before. My mother twisted her hands in her lap. "What's going on?" I asked. My voice sounded too loud in that quiet room. Adam cleared his throat. He tried to smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "We've had a bit of trouble," he said, "with the bills." Lily's face was pale. Her hair was pulled back in a messy knot, and there was no trace of last night's perfect makeup. She didn't look like the woman who had joked about my small, dirty bakery. She looked scared. I stepped closer to the table. There was a letter from the bank, saying the mortgage was 3 months behind. The number at the bottom made my stomach twist. $7,800 due. Another paper from the power company, warning of disconnection if they didn't pay $650 by the end of the week. A credit card bill sitting at $9,200 with the words, "Minimum payment overdue," printed in bold. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. Adam sighed and rubbed his forehead. "A while," he said. "My bonus got delayed. We had some unexpected costs. The kids needed things. The car needed repairs. Then the interest went up. We thought we could catch up. But you couldn't," I finished for him. I thought of all the transfers I had made over the past few years. The small amounts that were never small to me. The $400 here, $300 there, $1,000 that one time when the car first almost got taken away. Out of everyone in this room, I was the one who knew best how much trouble they were really in. My mother looked at me with hopeful eyes. "We thought maybe," she said slowly, "you could help us again. Just this last time. We know things are tight for you, but maybe you could lend them enough to stop the bank from—" Her voice broke. She didn't say the word, but I saw it in her eyes. Foreclosure. Adam looked at me in a way he hadn't looked at me in years. Not smug, not amused, not superior. Just desperate. "Claire, we could lose the house," he said. "We need at least $5,000 right now to calm them down. You always find a way. You always help." I felt my body go cold. There it was. The same script. The same soft push. The same old role. Claire, the dependable sister with the little flower cave, who somehow always came up with money. I thought of my own accounts. I had around $3,200 saved for a new fridge at the bakery. The old one made a strange noise every night and sometimes stopped for an hour at a time. I feared the day it died for good. I had $900 set aside as an emergency fund for rent, in case sales dropped. That was it. If I gave them $5,000, I would have to use all of that and borrow more. I would push my own business to the edge again. I might be the one losing a place, not them. The part of me that had been trained to say yes stepped forward. The part of me that remembered the laughter at the dinner table took its hand and pulled it back. "I can't," I said. "I'm sorry." Lily stared at me. Her voice was sharp again, but now it trembled. "You're really going to let your brother's family lose everything?" "No," I replied quietly, "but I'm not going to save you the old way." They all looked at me, confused. Last night, my words had sounded like a joke to them. This morning, the joke was gone. The silence in the room was not the polite quiet of a fancy dinner. It was the sound of people realizing the ground beneath them was not as solid as they thought. And I knew, as I drew a steady breath, that I was about to change more than just my own life. They all stared at me like I had started speaking in another language. My words hung in the air between us, heavy and strange. For years, the answer had always been yes. Maybe not right away, maybe with a sigh, but always yes. Now I had said no, and the whole room felt tilted. "What do you mean you're not going to save us the old way?" Adam asked. His voice was flat, like he already hated the answer. I took a slow breath. My hands were shaking a little, so I held them together in front of me. I said, "I am done being your bank. No more transfers. No more last-minute rescues. I can't pull $5,000 out of thin air. And even if I could, it would crush my bakery. I won't do that again." My mother whispered, "Claire," like my name was a warning. I turned to her gently. "Mom, I know you want everyone safe and happy. But I am not safe if I keep doing this. I live one broken fridge away from losing my business. I go to bed counting every dollar. I can't keep saving them while no one saves me." Silence again, the kind that fills your ears. Adam dropped onto the armchair and rubbed his face. "So that's it? We just lose the house?" "No," I said. "But the only help I can offer is work and a plan, not money." Lily let out a short, bitter laugh. "Work? At your bakery?" She said the word like it was something small and soft. "Adam has a degree. He has a real job." "His real job," I replied, keeping my voice calm, "is not paying enough to keep you out of this mess. No shame in that. But you need extra income. I need help at the bakery. That's what I can give. A job, not a bailout." Adam looked at me, really looked at me, in a way he rarely did. I could almost see the war going on inside him. Pride on one side, fear on the other. "How much could you even pay me?" he asked. "Not much," I said honestly. $15 an hour to start. Early mornings. Hard work. Weekends. It won't fix everything, but it will bring in more than nothing. And it will show the bank you're trying. Lily shook her head. "That won't be enough." "It won't be enough if you keep living like this," I said. "You have 2 cars, a house that costs more than you can really afford, subscriptions for everything, a gym you don't use, and kids with more toys than they can play with. You live like money is a river that never stops. But it's not. It's a bucket, and yours has a lot of holes." My father winced, but he didn't argue. My mother looked down at her hands. "I brought some things," I said quietly. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folded notebook and a pen. I did some numbers last night. I was angry, but I was also awake. So I wrote everything I knew down. I sat at the coffee table and opened the notebook. On the first page were 3 columns: income, needs, and extras. On the next page, I had written rough figures for them based on what I knew and guessed: mortgage, food, gas, school costs, credit card minimums. "I don't know every detail," I said, "but here's a start. If you cut down your extras, sell a few things you don't use, and both of you bring in more money, you can talk to the bank and make a new plan. They don't want your house. They want proof you're trying." Adam moved to the table and picked up the notebook. His eyes moved over the numbers. I watched his shoulders drop as the reality sank in. It wasn't magic. It wasn't easy. It was just math. "You really did all this last night?" he asked. "Yes," I said. I was tired of feeling helpless and guilty. This is the only way I can help now. I can stand beside you, but I won't stand under you and hold everything up. Lily crossed her arms. "So, what? You want Adam to bake cupcakes for a living?" I looked at her.
No.
I want him to work hard for a while, wherever he can, until you're stable. There's no shame in that. There is shame in pretending everything is fine while the walls are cracking. My mother spoke at last, her voice soft and tired. Maybe, she said, maybe you should listen to her. That surprised all of us. Adam turned to her. Mom,
She sighed.
your sister has been holding you up for years. We let her. We told ourselves it was just until you got back on your feet. But you never really did. Maybe this is the only way. Adam was very quiet for a long moment. Then he closed the notebook and set it down carefully. What time do you open tomorrow? He asked me. 6 in the morning, I said. I start at 4. He swallowed. I can be there at 5. Lily stared at him. You can't be serious. He looked at her, and his voice was different now. Lower, heavier. We're out of choices. I felt something shift in the room.
Not joy.
Not relief. Just a small, real crack in the old pattern. For the first time, it wasn't about me finding more money. It was about them finding their own way. As I drove back to my bakery, the sky over Denver was finally bright. I unlocked the door, stepped into the familiar smell of yeast and coffee, and turned on the lights. Tomorrow, my brother would stand here with me in the early dark. The joke at dinner had ended. The work was about to begin. The next morning, when I unlocked the bakery door at 4 o'clock, the street was still half asleep. The sky over Denver was dark, with just a pale hint of blue at the edge. My bakery smelled like it always did at that hour. A mix of yeast, old wood, and quiet hope. I tied on my apron, rolled on my sleeves, and started the dough. For a while, it was just me and the soft thump of my hands on the table. At 5 o'clock, I heard the bell over the front door ring. I looked up, expecting a delivery driver who was early. Instead, it was Adam, standing there in a heavy coat, his hair still messy from sleep. He looked around, taking in the empty shop, the stacked chairs, the bags of flour lined against the wall. You're really open at this hour? He asked, his voice low. Not to customers, I said. Just to work. He nodded, stepped inside, and closed the door behind him. For a moment, we just stood there, two very different versions of tired facing each other. I handed him an apron. He took it without a joke, without a comment, and slipped it over his shirt. Okay, I said. First lesson. This is the mixer. That's the scale. We weigh everything. Bread doesn't care about guesses. He smiled faintly. Got it. No guessing. I showed him how to measure the flour, how to add water and yeast, how to watch the texture of the dough. His first batch was too wet, and he frowned at it like it was a math problem he couldn't solve. It's okay, I said. We fix it.
Business is a lot like dough.
You don't throw it away the first time it goes wrong. You adjust. He looked at me, then at the dough, and added more flour. It was a small thing, but it felt like a sign. Those first weeks were hard on him. He came in 4 mornings a week, sometimes with dark circles under his eyes from late-night emails to clients and long talks with Lily. He lifted heavy trays, burned his arm once on the oven, and dropped a whole pan of croissants on the floor one busy Saturday. I expected a burst of anger, maybe a sarcastic comment, but instead he just stared at the mess, then started cleaning it up. I'm sorry, he said quietly when I came over to help. It happens, I told him. We move on. Mistakes are cheaper than pride. He took those words in like he was filing them away.
Slowly, he began to change.
He stopped checking his phone every 5 minutes. He started recognizing regular customers by name. He learned how to steam milk just right until the foam sat soft and glossy on top of the cappuccinos. One morning, I watched him joke with a tired nurse who came in after a night shift, and I realized I had not seen him this gentle with anyone in a long time. At home, things were changing too. Adam and Lily sold the second car, the one with the fancy leather seats. They cut their streaming services from 5 down to 1. The gym membership went. The kids' toys were sorted, and half of them were sold in a yard sale that brought in $280 in cash. It wasn't a miracle, but it was movement. Lily did not come to the bakery at first. I think she was ashamed or angry or both. But one afternoon, about 2 months after Adam started working with me, she walked in with their 2 children, Mia and Jacob. She stood in line quietly, wearing jeans and an old sweater instead of her usual polished outfits. When it was her turn, she met my eyes. 1 hot chocolate and 1 muffin for each of them, please, she said. And a coffee for me. That will be $13, I replied. She pulled out her wallet and counted the bills carefully, like I did every night. As she handed me the money, she hesitated. I was wrong about this place, she said. It's not dirty. I gave a small smile. Sometimes it is. Flour gets everywhere, but it's mine. And now, in a way, it's helping you too. She nodded. Adam says you work harder than anyone he's ever met. He works hard too, I said. He just never had to do it like this before. They stayed for half an hour, sitting at the small table by the window. The kids drew on napkins while Lily sipped her coffee. For the first time, she looked around the bakery with real eyes, not just judgment. I felt something in my chest loosen. After 3 months, Adam and Lily went back to the bank with a new plan. Adam took the notebook I had started and added more pages, filled with his own neat numbers. He showed the bank manager their new budget, Adam's extra income from the bakery, and proof of the cut expenses. The bank agreed to a new schedule, higher payments for 6 months to catch up, then a steady amount after. It would be tight, but not impossible. When he told me, Adam's eyes were bright, almost like a kid. We did it without you bailing us out, he said. No, I corrected him gently. You did it without my money.
But not without me.
There's a difference. He nodded slowly. You're right. And I think I finally understand just how much you've been carrying alone. That night, when I closed up the bakery, I stood for a moment in the quiet, looking at the shelves, the ovens, the small scratches on the counter. This place had nearly broken me more than once. Now, it had done something else. It had given my brother a way to stand, and it had given me a way to help without losing myself. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the small, dirty bakery owner. I felt like a woman who had chosen herself and still managed to keep her family afloat. Not by paying their bills, but by teaching them how to face them,